Hey, everybody, welcome back. Here we are again, Jay. The fall has definitely started. And what do we normally see in the fall for real estate?
Hey, Josh. Good to see you again. So typically, here's what happens: house prices go down, the buyer activity slows down, sellers that have to sell usually accept less for their home, and as a result, right, our buyers tend to get a little bit of a better deal if they're willing to buy in the fall and make a move in the fall and winter time. Of course, there's a cost to that. It's cold out and it's hard to move, maybe, but is there big enough savings that make it worthwhile for them to do that? So we can look at a little bit of history here. So, this is like all the way from looks like January of 19 all the way up to March of 2024. Big red circles are the drops. There's always sort of weird things that happen, and we might see a spike when we shouldn't normally. But for the most part, we're seeing this decline, right, every fall, where this is the house prices, and this is the average house price since 2019. So I guess the big question is like, what drives that? And if it always happens, like, why don't more buyers wait, right, for the fall rush? And so I think it's a strategy that we have been trying to work with some of our buyers when it's, worked for them in their schedule.
And I've often wondered the same thing, right? Because we do typically see those prices drop in the fall. But at the same time, we also usually see interest rates increase in the fall. Now, when I've done analysis, if you save $30,000 on the house, but pay $10,000 extra and a little bit higher interest rate over 5 years, it definitely works out in your favor. But this year might be a little bit different. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, right? Fall time interest is going up, and as a result, the house prices are going down. But if you've been watching some of our videos and been following some of our updates and seeing what the Bank of Canada is going to do, I mean, is interest rate actually going to drop this fall? Well, it hasn't yet, right? And I don't know, Josh, you're the expert. You tell me, where's our interest rate going now, right?
We are actually heading in a downward direction. We've seen the Bank of Canada lower its rate 0.25%, 3 different times now over only 12 weeks. We've seen the bond rates drop, which has pushed fixed mortgage rates down. Even just this morning, we've seen some lower bond rates, and I got 2 updates this morning of some lower rates on the 5-year terms, not so much on the shorter ones yet, but we are seeing downward movement in interest rates, and that's not very common in the fall time.
Right. So I don't know what does that mean. So in my mind, it's like, normally as the interest rate is rising in the fall, house prices is dropping because we want to have this, this affordable line where buyers can buy, right? But if the interest rate is dropping, does that mean that house prices are going to continue to drop? And I think there's a good case here to say that I actually think house prices are going to be stable. I think house prices are going to hold, maybe see a bit of a decline depending on where and what kind of property you're buying. But for the most price, again, this is just our forecast, right? We don't have the crystal ball, but it looks like it's lining up with lower interest rate. Well, we should have stable prices until spring. And I've talked to a few new construction people here as well, and they said, well, we're lining everything up to have a bunch of product that comes ready in the first part of the spring because they're anticipating these big gains, right, with the lower interest in this renewed early spring market. Lots of momentum, and that's what they're waiting for. So, maybe there's an argument to be had here that we're going to run out of inventory. It's going to be slim pickings all winter long as well.
So that of course is a risk. In the fall, you tend to have less to choose from. On our last video, we saw that when we looked at the most recent monthly real estate stats, we saw the inventory levels going down, which is normal, but prices have been remaining very steady. Probably we'll see prices remaining very steady as interest rates drop. This fall, I would suspect we're not going to see as much drop as normal, like you said. And I think the sweet time to buy a home is going to be kind of between now and probably maybe as late as February, right? Yeah. But it might be an early spring. If rates keep dropping, we might see prices start to go up sooner. Obviously, we have no idea. History is something we can know from the past, but the future is unknown, right? So it could be anything, but I think there's a pretty good argument that between now and February would be probably a better time to find a home than waiting until rates are a bit lower, but there's a lot more demand in the market come spring, eh?
Totally. And that's the thing is, like, we still are going to set up here for one more sort of rush. We call it the Xmas rush, the Christmas rush, right? And there is going to be some people that want to be in their home before Christmas. So if you're a seller, that's a strategy we can work with you on. If you're a buyer, this is the most crucial and important thing. Get ready. Get your pre-approval done. So talk to Josh, right? Get a hold of me. We're going to start your search, and then we're going to stand on the sidelines patiently. And the key word here is being patient and wait for the right deal to come along.
And ready to move.
That's right.
Right. You gotta be ready to go. That's where that pre-approval is so important. But then patient because the inventory tends to be a bit less. But then you got to move when the right home comes along. You had a story you were telling me about a house last night, even.
Yeah. So there's a house that came on the market actually yesterday morning. My guy's like, this is almost perfect for us. Let's go see it. So we went there, line up, which is crazy, right? 6 or 7 people in. I think there was 4 offers. And last night, it sold at 10 p.m. Unconditionally, $32,000 over list. No conditions.
And it's September, right? We don't expect that kind of thing in September. So, a well-priced house is going to go quickly. So you got to be patient while you wait for it, but quick to move as soon as it shows up. So if you like what we're sharing here on a weekly basis, please hit that bell, like and subscribe the page, drop a comment or two on these videos. We'd love to see more questions in the comments. We'll address those, and we'll keep bringing you new content every single week here on Wednesdays. Thanks so much, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you.